Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Spill, a movie night podcast with your host Jackie
and Chelsea.
And Film Spill, if you don't already know, is a podcast that comes out every other Thursday, and we talk about a movie by a female filmmaker every episode.
We also discuss women in the entertainment industry in general, and we play slumber party type games, spill entertainment gossip, and get to know each other and our guest. This week we have a special guest, Jenna Brewer, who is a production designer with Onyx.
Thanks for having me on. My name is Jenna. I went to LMU with Jackie back when we were in college. I joined Onyx, I believe in 2019 when the company started. Worked on our first project, which was a crazy horror movie about menstrual cycles. There was a lot of blood involved. So that's what I'm used to, is pouring blood everywhere, doing weird stuff, getting weird props. That's my thing.
In addition to being a production designer for Onyx, Jenna is also currently interning with the video company Jubilee. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that, Jenna?
Sure. So I started interning with them in June, I believe, of this year. So I've been there about 5 months. Jubilee is mostly on YouTube, but they've also expanded recently to other platforms like Snapchat, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. We make very human-focused content, so exploring different issues and getting people who think really differently to get into a room and talk it out. We've done some dating shows recently, which are really funny. It's content focused on empathy, which is definitely why I wanted to join the company in the first place. So it's been a good time. There's some really great people there.
I never knew about the company until I researched them on YouTube and I saw the kind of content that they come out with. And I saw the dating. I did see the dating episodes, and I honestly got a laugh out of them.
I watch actually a lot of Jubilee videos, I have to admit. They're just so, I don't know, easily digestible and entertaining. Did they do the one that was they had 2 real people and one that was AI? Was that you guys?
Ooh, I think that's cut. I think
oh,
that's
no.
the cut. It's okay. No, I make jokes about cut all the time. And Cody Co has been reviewing both recently, which has been really fun.
Yes. Oh my god. Has he reacted to any of the videos that you've worked on?
Ooh, I don't think he's reacted to any of the ones I've worked on. He usually does the very clickbaity ones, the ones that get kind of crazy. And most of our content is it's just kind of serious and open discussion. But we do have some very attention grabby, insane situations, and those are definitely ones he reviews.
What would be a Jubilee video that you would recommend to all of the viewers to go check out right now?
Ooh, one that is very popular is we do a series called Middle Ground, which is where we get 2 sides of people who completely disagree, and we see if they can reach an agreement or a compromise on their idea. And the craziest one definitely is flat earthers versus scientists.
Yeah.
I do not know what to say about that video. That video is insane. I've watched it with a bunch of people. I've watched it with my grandparents, and they're what the hell is this? Who are these people? They're insane. So I would definitely check that one out. It's a very crazy episode. You will not believe what you hear.
Shout out to casting.
Yeah, casting does a great job. The casting interns are my favorite people. They're awesome. The casting director, she's fantastic. You can find her on TikTok. They're just really cool.
So speaking of you interning for Jubilee and all of the fun stuff that you got going on in your career, what is your dream job? What do you see yourself doing in 5 years?
So my dream job is pretty much anything in the art department for film, television, new media, anything like that. So I would love to be a production designer. I've dabbled a little bit in art direction, which is definitely a different skill set. It's definitely a lot of budget and a lot of renting trucks and things like that, but that's okay. I do love set dressing, but I think production designer, that's the goal.
And your stuff, I have to say, I'm a little biased because I'm your friend, but I think it looks so nice. And I'm sure that, we'll have you plug stuff at the end of the episode, but people should definitely check out your work because it's always chef's kiss.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
Yes, Jenna, show us your work.
Absolutely.
Before we get into talking about Lady Bird, we are going to play this game that Jenna had the idea for us to play called Guess the Fake Hallmark Movie. And I also know that they play a version of this on this podcast that I love called My Brother, and Me. I'm sure like everyone listening has probably listened to that podcast. And they do it with Hallmark Christmas movies. So I have put together log lines for Hallmark movies. And Jenna and Chelsea are going to have to guess which one of the 3 I have made up. And then there'll be 3 rounds. So, are you guys ready? Do you feel prepared to guess the fake Hallmark movie?
I'm ready. I'm very excited. I think Hallmark movies are just the weirdest, but also most generic plots that have ever existed. Maybe competing with Lifetime a little bit for that title. But I feel like there's just no way to tell what's a real Hallmark movie. Because I feel like we can all just make one up on the spot.
I know, it's going to be hard.
Just go with your gut. You got it. I think you know deep inside what's truly a Hallmark movie. But I was surprised like how easy it was for me to come up with these log lines. So it doesn't have to make sense. It can just be vaguely a love story.
Hey, and maybe we can use one of these and pitch it to Hallmark.
I was gonna say, like, after this, I feel like Hallmark should hire me. Like, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would happily do that. Okay, so the first round, this one doesn't really have a theme. It's just listen to your gut. The first film is called Taking the Reins. Rachel Powell takes a much-needed break from her stressful job in the big city to help out around her parents' horse ranch. But what is supposed to be a relaxing getaway quickly heats up when the ranch hires a handsome new stable hand with a mysterious past.
I mean, that has to exist. Like, I don't know. Also, isn't that the plot of Hannah Montana the movie? Like, I don't...
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in a very long time.
It definitely is. Definitely is.
Okay. Movie number 2. Flip That Romance. Rival house flippers Jules Briggs and Lance Waddle renovate dual sides of a duplex and rekindle an old romance.
La la.
That's very cute. I mean, I would watch that. That's very cute.
That reminds me of Flip and Flop, or Flip or Flop. Not Flip
Yes,
and Flop.
It's very HGTV.
Yes, I love HGTV so much.
Me too. All right, the third and final movie for this round is called When Sparks Fly. Fireworks go off when Amy Peterson comes home to help save her family's annual 4th of July celebration and discovers she loves the man she left behind years ago to pursue her dreams of becoming a journalist. Stars Meghan Markle.
Ooh, okay. Is Megan... Okay, I know Meghan Markle was in Suits, and she was on Deal or No Deal. I don't know much else about her acting career, though, so I don't know.
For whatever reason, I'm feeling like either When Sparks Fly or Flip That Romance. Because it's such a good, like... It is such a good logline. I'm like, is this too good to be true?
That's a really good point. That's a very good point. Okay, for the same reason, I'm looking at Taking the Reins, though, because I feel like that is the most textbook, like word for word Hallmark movie I've ever heard in my life. Like, she's got a stressful career in the city. She moves back home to her farm, meets the ranch hand, and then she decides to stay because he's mysterious and can tame the horses or whatever. I feel like that's so Hallmark that I'm looking at that one because like I feel like it's too Hallmark.
Well, I cannot say yet. I cannot give any hints, but do you guys have final answers for this round?
Ooh, I feel like I have to say When Sparks Fly.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go with Flip That Romance because I know how much Jackie loves interior design and she loves HGTV, so I feel like she would write that.
Jenna, you should have gone with your gut.
Oh.
Taking the Reins is the one I made up.
Come on. I can't believe that's not a Hallmark movie. That's ridiculous.
I have to say, though, the title I did steal from a real Hallmark movie.
Oh.
tricky there, Jackie.
Tricky.
Yeah, because I was trying to come up with a good like horse pun, and my brain was just not operating on that level last night.
What's the real movie about?
Ooh, let me look it up. Hold on. A writer discovers what ended her marriage and why she stopped riding horses after going back to her family ranch.
She doesn't know what stopped her from riding horses. She had memory loss. That's very Lifetime of them.
This next round is wedding themed, all right? So, the first movie is called The Vows We Keep. An event planner must organize the perfect wedding for her sister in less than a month when she finds out the Rosewood, a historic inn and beloved wedding venue, is being sold.
Okay, I gotcha. I don't see any romance in there, but that's okay. That's okay.
I'm sure they'd find a way to sneak it in there.
Oh, the manager of whatever wants to save his hotel. She helps him save it. In
Yeah.
time for her sister's wedding.
Right there. Yeah,
There we go.
perfect.
It's easy.
All right, the next film is called The Perfect Fit. Caroline Wilson, a wedding dress designer, has fit hundreds of brides for their special day, but gave up on finding love herself long ago. When a cake shop opens across the street from Caroline's boutique, its charming owner, Todd Lewis, tries to win her over. Will Caroline learn to finally listen to her heart?
That's definitely a freaking Hallmark movie, like hands down. No question about that.
Yeah, there's no way that's not a Hallmark movie. There's no way that doesn't exist.
The cherry on top was, will Caroline learn to finally listen to her heart? Like, that was it.
Oh my god, yes. It's like 27 Dresses, but like way worse and like way cheesier.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, because 27 Dresses, she's always a bridesmaid, right?
Oh, and she wants to find love.
I think so.
Yes. And she finally does at the end, after all of those 27 dresses that she has in her closet.
The third movie of this round is called In the Key of Love. Photographer Maggie learns her ex-boyfriend / ex-singing partner is in the wedding she is working. Tensions run high until they sing together, remembering how good they were as a duo. So yeah, do you guys have guesses for round 2?
Okay, I think The Perfect Fit is definitely a Hallmark movie. I think that's so textbook Hallmark. I feel like there's no way that hasn't been made. It's perfect. Great job to Jackie or whoever wrote that. It's perfect. I feel like In the Key of Love is not the one where she learns that her ex-boyfriend, ex-singing partner is in the wedding she's working. That's a very good rom-com. I feel like it's a better rom-com than Hallmark has made. I can't tell. I would watch that. So that's my guess.
Yeah, I know. I really like the log lines. I'm telling you, these could be Hallmark movies. I'm thinking The Vows We Keep. I don't know if something's telling me that could be a Hallmark movie, but just not this round.
The fake Hallmark movie is The Perfect Fit.
What?
My God. We keep getting these wrong.
God damn it. Jackie,
you're really good.
You should work for Hallmark. If you're listening, please hire her. We said the other ones were not good Hallmark movies. Those are the ones that you have made. So please hire her to make what we all want, which is The Perfect Fit. Please.
I mean, I'm very on brand. I'm nothing if not on brand.
Yes.
You're a perfect fit. Like,
yeah,
it
Hallmark
just says
wants
it.
on brand. They don't want off brand.
No, I was surprised by In the Key of Love. Like, I feel like there's not usually. Well, I guess sometimes we get movies that are about like a former relationship. Usually it's like a new romance. But I was surprised by that one.
Me too. That's what threw me off on that one. Is that there's like this ex-boyfriend / like ex-flame, because like I feel like in Hallmark movies we want to like assume that the man she's interested in has done no wrong ever. So like if she's broken up with him, then clearly he's done something wrong. So what has he done
Or
wrong?
like he just moved away or something, maybe.
Yeah.
I bet that's what it is. Like, oh, like he's back from South Africa where he was saving the zebras or something like
Yeah, the only legitimate reason to break up with your girlfriend
Yeah.
is because you're gonna go save children in a
Yeah.
different country. Yeah.
Or zebras, either one.
Yeah. Oh, zebras, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Third round. This is the last round. You guys have
I'm
not.
so unconfident about myself right now. Like, I don't even know.
I'm surprised. Like, I think Caleb, maybe I read them differently, or maybe he just knows me too well, but he was able to guess all of the ones that I wrote, which is crazy.
Maybe that's what we should be doing. I feel like we're going towards like what could be a Hallmark, and like everything that you've written could be a Hallmark movie. So that's pretty good. But I feel like maybe we should look for what Jackie would write. Because I feel like that's maybe a better way to go.
We'll see. So these are all in honor of our season that we're in right now. These are all fall themed. Okay, so the first one is called Apple of My Eye. Lindsay, a realtor, is sent to Plymouth, New Hampshire to buy land for a new housing development. But she soon finds out that the land is a quaint but struggling family-run apple orchard. Things get more complicated when Lindsay starts falling for Chris, the orchard's owner and a single dad.
Oh, okay. You can't, if there's family owned anything, Hallmark will not let you destroy it. That's like the rule of Hallmark, because everything's family owned, especially if there's a child involved, a child to love, a little white blonde haired child that is like, Daddy, are you gonna save the farm? Like,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's textbook Hallmark. But I'm on to you, Jackie. I'm searching this time.
All right. Well, the second movie is called Falling for Vermont. When a best-selling author decides to escape the media frenzy, her plan goes awry when she's caught in a thunderstorm and crashes her car. Found wandering with no memory and no ID, the town doctor and a single dad offers up his guest house until her memory returns. But as she blends seamlessly into their family life, she must decide if the life she's been living is the life she wants.
Is this a Lifetime movie?
It sounds like it.
The memory loss, the car crash,
Yeah.
the like, what should I do with my life? It feels so Lifetime to me, but like, I've never seen like a drama Hallmark movie. I've only really seen like the happy, like nothing goes bad except for the ex-boyfriend's like an asshole. Like that's all I've seen of Hallmark.
I think the Falling for Vermont would be a Lifetime movie if she was like kidnapped while she had her memory loss.
You're
and
so
then
right.
made to think that her captor was really her husband or something.
You're so right about that. Yeah, that's what would happen in the Lifetime movie. There'd be no children.
Yeah, you can't get kids involved in a Lifetime movie.
No.
It's too dangerous. But our third and final film for this round and this game is called Pumpkin Pie Wars. 10 years ago, Faye and Lydia each opened their own bakeries in Emeryville, Ohio, after a personal and professional fallout during a local pumpkin pie contest. Now, their children and coworkers, Casey and Sam, are set to carry on the rivalry as they go head-to-head in the same contest. There's only one problem for these two people who are supposed to hate each other. They start to fall in love.
Of course they do. Of course. What else are you gonna do?
It's Romeo and Juliet, but with pumpkin pie.
That's so cute, though.
That's adorable.
Pumpkin Pie Wars.
Okay, I'm gonna remember the strategy, the Caleb strategy, and I'm going to like figure this out. Like, what would Jackie have written?
I have a feeling it's the Pumpkin Pie Wars. I don't know, something from the start. Because like Apple of My Eye, they would be cheesy about the title. I know that for a fact. And it does sound like something I would watch. I mean, all of these sound like something I would watch on Hallmark, but we're already past that now. all right, it's like looking at more of what it has to do. It's very specific about where it says New Hampshire. I feel like, okay. And then Falling for Vermont, it's like the same thing. It's like the same area. But that also sounds, and it has to do with the best-selling author. So, I don't know.
I know how much Jackie loves the Great British Bake Off. I feel like there's something in, like, I feel like okay, so what are the ones she's written so far? She wrote The Vows We Keep, is that right?
No, I wrote The Perfect Fit.
Okay,
and Taking
so we
the
have
Reins.
Okay. So those have nothing in common. Okay. My guess is Pumpkin Pie Wars. Was that the one you were leaning for too, Chelsea?
Yeah, that's the one I guessed.
Let's double down. I think we can do it.
I think so. I don't know. Come on, please tell me I'm right, Jackie.
Please. We need this.
That we're right.
The fake movie is Apple of My Eye.
No, come on.
We're done. I'm done. I quit.
We're so bad at this game.
I took some elements from Falling for Vermont, like the northeastern location, the single dad, the small town, and also just combined it with some just regular, Hallmark classic elements, like struggling family-run operation, lady from the big city falls in love with countryman.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because no woman should be big city, according to Hallmark.
No.
Women no have big city job. Women only homemaker. That's it.
Yeah. Women work in apple orchard.
Women marry hot tall man with beard.
Yeah.
That looks like a lumberjack.
Yes. Blue eye, blonde hair man.
Oh my god.
Never redhead.
Oh shit.
I feel like he's never a redhead. Am I right about that?
I think that's true. I think the ladies can be redheads, but the guys can't.
Absolutely. And of course he's never a different race other than white.
No. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I think I saw like a couple of these movies where the men were like Latino.
I think that's as far as they're gonna go with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then like Meghan Markle was in that other one, so I guess. But you have to be like very light skinned.
Very white passing.
Yeah.
White passing, that's the problem.
Yeah. There's a lot of colorism.
Yeah.
I feel like is not part of the discussion a lot of times. And I feel like there's a lot of optimism to be had for like other sides of the industry, but I think for Hallmark, my sights are set pretty low. I do not think we will be seeing a black man as the main love interest in a Hallmark movie for like 20 years. But it's not going to happen.
Hey, if Jackie starts working at Hallmark, she can change it.
Yes.
True.
If Jackie becomes Miss Hallmark, I think we can get it to change.
I can single-handedly change the corporate culture of Hallmark. I'm sure.
So funny.
I would love to. I'm up for the challenge.
What if there was like a beauty pageant where it was like you have to look like a Hallmark character, and at the end you became Miss Hallmark, and it was just like you're like a figurehead of the company for like a year until the next Miss Hallmark.
And they have you do different challenges that like someone would do in a Hallmark movie, like like picking apples or riding horses.
Tame this restless horse that no one else can tame.
Yeah, bake some cookies. I feel like that's in a lot of them.
Save a family farm.
Own a food truck.
Yes. Don't be a successful businesswoman. Quit your job. Yeah. Make this average looking white man fall in love with you.
Yeah, like someone who you're definitely way out of his league.
Yeah. They have to be out of his league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. And then she gets to be Miss Hallmark.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
So today we're going to be talking about Lady Bird. I know that was a film that you recommended us to watch this week, which I was super excited about. Could you tell us why you wanted to talk about Lady Bird or why you chose this film?
Absolutely. I think Lady Bird has been my favorite movie since the moment I saw it. It kind of like changed how I viewed like the coming of age genre. And it made me like, I think probably a lifetime fan of Greta Gerwig. I just love her writing style so much. It just speaks to something like deep inside me that no other like filmmaker has been able to do. It's just so special. I think she writes women and like women's voices, and I think probably the best way I've ever seen. I just relate so well to how she writes like the internal like monologues and like thoughts of women, especially young women. And I feel like anytime anyone asks me to talk about a movie, I'm like, well, do you want to talk about Lady Bird? That's all I've got.
It feels like this is a story about me. Like, like not directly, but, this is something that in a lot of ways is like one of the most relatable films that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so relatable, which is, I feel like, a word we toss around a lot, but like, I feel like Greta Gerwig just like kind of sat behind me in class or something and like studied and was like, oh, okay, this is what a like young girl about to go to college thinks.
It's true, yeah. And she was one herself, obviously, but I think a lot of people lose touch with that voice or that who they were at that time in their life. And she clearly didn't. And she clearly like still has a very firm grasp on what it's like to be someone in like their late teens, early 20s.
Absolutely. I think it shows really well in her newest movie, so Little Women, which is another one I just adored. These are like teenagers from the 1800s, a classic story, and she writes them it's like they're the same as Lady Bird in like the same, in the right ways. I feel like she's never lost touch with like the 12-year-old to the 17-year-old to the young woman. It's just always there in her writing.
She definitely knows how to go back in time and relive those types of moments and make them so pure in her writing and not overdo any cliches, just make it very natural and very truthful to whatever the situation may be. And I can't we'll get more into it obviously because I have a lot to say about like the second time that I rewatched this and how much more I got to like intake and how much more I observed every moment of that film. Before we get into the movie for this week, we want to let you know that Lady Bird is available to watch on Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Google Play. This discussion will contain spoilers for the movie, so if you haven't already seen it, go watch and come back afterwards to hear our thoughts.
So the synopsis of the film is Christine Lady Bird McPherson, played by Saoirse Ronan, is a high school senior from the wrong side of the tracks. She longs for adventure, sophistication, and opportunity, but finds none of that in her Sacramento Catholic high school. The movie follows the title character's senior year in high school, including her first romance, her participation in the school play, and most importantly, her applying for college. And that is from, I believe it's Delia on IMDb. So thank you, Delia, for that great little synopsis.
The writer and director for this film is Greta Gerwig. She is an actor, writer, and director. Of the three, Gerwig says directing is her favorite. She has directed 2 films solo, Lady Bird and Little Women, both of which were nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Much like Lady Bird, Gerwig grew up in Sacramento and attended an all-girls Catholic high school, which she graduated from in the early 2000s. Gerwig says that the film was inspired by her life, but is still 100% an act of imagination.
I read that she went to Barnard for college, and I think she had ambitions initially of being a playwright, but then she said like she was rejected from basically like any official program that she applied to, like MFA program. So she decided to be an actor, and she was cast in a minor role when she was still in college of a Joe Swanberg film, which I didn't know who that was. I'm sorry to anybody who's like a huge Mumblecore fan. I have to educate myself. But she developed a working relationship with Swanberg, and they co-wrote the film Hannah Takes the Stairs together and co-directed the film Nights and Weekends together. She frequently collaborates with Noah Baumbach, her life partner, and they worked on the films Greenberg, Frances Ha, which Gerwig co-wrote and starred in, and Mistress America, which Gerwig also co-wrote and starred in. and she is set to direct the upcoming Barbie movie, which will star Margot Robbie and will be co-written by Noah Baumbach and is set to premiere in 2023.
I forgot that was happening. I do want to see that. I want to see what the hell is going on in that movie.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was going to be a movie.
Yeah, I read on IMDb just a little like log line, and they said that like a defective Barbie is like she leaves Barbie Land or is ostracized from Barbie Land and then goes and like lives in the real world. So I'm wondering if it's gonna be kind of like a Splash situation, you know? We'll see. But I'm excited, and like those three working on a film together is very exciting.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I'm getting like very like House Bunny kind of vibes from that, which I Anna Faris is one of the most hilarious people I've ever seen in my life. Like that movie is ridiculous, and I love it.
I need to rewatch House Bunny. It's been a long time.
It's such a good film, and it has Emma Stone in it.
Yeah,
Love Emma Stone.
So good.
Some background on Lady Bird. Lady Bird premiered at the 2017 Telluride Film Festival and was released in theaters November of the same year. The film had a budget of $10 million and made over $78 million at the box office. The film won Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, and Best Actress for Saoirse Ronan's performance at the Golden Globes. Laurie Metcalf was also nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and Lady Bird was nominated for Best Screenplay. At the Oscars, Lady Bird was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay for Gerwig, Best Actress for Ronan, and Best Supporting Actress for Metcalf. Gerwig was the fifth woman to ever be nominated for Best Director. So she was nominated for Best Director but never won, right?
Yeah, she hasn't. I think it's only been two women so far who have ever won Best Director, Catherine Bigelow and now Chloe Zhao. But yeah, Gerwig has been very vocal about the lack of recognition for women directors, other women directors. She said, "What pisses me off any given year is that I can think of 5 films directed by a woman that deserve to be there, that deserve to be talked about like that. Every year I can tell you the women where I'm like, why aren't they there?" And that's so true. Like on this podcast, we talk about so many great films directed by women, and a lot of them do not receive the recognition that they deserve. And there's definitely films that we haven't even talked about on this podcast or we don't even know about that are wonderful, that are by women, that deserve recognition, but we haven't even heard of them.
I feel like part of the issue is the Academy's feeling like when women direct movies, they only deserve to win if they direct a movie like they are a man. So like if they make a movie like they're like a man, then that deserves a nomination. I feel like the industry doesn't really recognize or respect or value films that are centered towards women or about women or like feel like they've been made by a woman, like with a woman's voice. And that's all Gerwig. Like her movies, I feel like are just so uniquely made for women. Like I've been saying that since 2017, like when all these men went and saw Lady Bird and they were like, I don't get it, like that was a stupid ending, or I don't understand, I didn't like it, I was bored. I was like, well, it wasn't for you, so surprise. So I feel like the Academy doesn't really value a movie made by a woman unless she makes it like a man.
Yeah, and that was what a lot of the conversation was around Catherine Bigelow's win, I think, because she won for The Hurt Locker, and like it was sort of, why is this action film the only film that can be directed by a woman that can win Best Picture? And I guess Nomadland is a little bit more, I don't know, not necessarily, but a man could have directed that film. Maybe it wouldn't have been the same result, but
I think there is like a shift there. Like I think there is like maybe a more value it, because it is very driven by just a single woman, that film. Like it is very long, meandering, kind of like movies I've seen directed by men. But I feel like there are some female themes in there that I was surprised by, like that it would, but I also wasn't surprised that it won Best Picture. I feel like it's the perfect film to win Best Picture. So I feel like the Academy looked at it and they were like, I mean, I guess we have to. I don't know.
It's Oscar bait.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought we could talk, because Jenna is a production designer, we could talk specifically about the production design of this film. I really liked it. I was noticing it more, I think, this watch. I think I've seen Lady Bird either 3 or 4 times now, but I was noticing it a lot in like the color palettes this time. I think because I was thinking about you, Jenna, while I was watching this film. There were some scenes that stood out to me in terms of production design, but were there any that stood out to you?
Whenever I think of Lady Bird and production design, I am always drawn to her bedroom, which is like definitely not the most significant set in the film. Jackie has some pictures here of like the school dance scene, which is like Western themed, with like light up cactuses, which is so fun. There's their living room, the coffee shop, their bathroom, like all are very like more significant in terms of production design. But I think because my production design is usually focused on teenage bedrooms, my bedrooms are like my thing. Bedrooms, high school parties, things like that. Like I feel like whenever I think of Lady Bird, I'm like just drawn to her bedroom as inspiration. Like I feel like that is such a perfect teenage bedroom. It's just the right amount of messy. I love that it's pink, because like I feel like there's a tendency for like the indie girl to like not enjoy things that are traditionally feminine, like pink. But yeah, she's got pink hair, a pink cast, and an all pink room, and she writes the name of her crushes on her wall. And yet she's still like this. She wants to be sophisticated. She wants to be all of these things. And she doesn't think pink doesn't fit into that narrative, which I think is great. So there's a lot of pink in this film, and I enjoy that.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and the pink prom dress too, and the pink Thanksgiving dress. Although I feel like the prom dress is more red. And when her mom said like, "Is it too pink?" I was like, "It's not even pink." But her bedroom is definitely, something that I feel like a lot of teenage girls would like to have.
Yeah. Or just kind of grew up with. Like, I feel like that's the typical, like, you painted your bedroom pink when you were 8, and you were like, this will be great forever. And then, of course, at the end, she paints it over with white because she's moving out. She paints over the names. Like, definitely getting rid of that childhood, like, the lingering parts of her childhood, so she can like grow up and chase this like fictional dream that she has.
Yeah, that's such a nice little moment, the names being painted over. Like, I don't know, it's a perfect representation of like that she's moving on, I guess.
Totally. I love that the boys in her life were so forgettable. Like they each had their role. They gave her her heartbreaks. They gave her her first sexual experience. They gave her like her hatred for shitty men. And then she's like, thanks, bye. And she like moves on, which I think is fantastic.
I love Danny though. Like I think then they still have a friendship. Like she talks about when Jenna, the character Jenna, shows up at the house that she said was her family's house. She then says, "Oh, that was my friend's grandma's house." So it's clear, after that scene outside of the coffee shop where he like begs her not to tell anyone that he's gay and she promises not to, there's definitely like a friendship that's still there. I think that's really sweet.
I think that's a really good point, that she still considers him a friend, even though she loved him in a very different way than he loved her. I think he still loved her. And that definitely shows in that scene outside the coffee shop where she keeps a secret. They move on. It shows a level of maturity that I feel like up until that point we didn't think Lady Bird was at all capable of, which is great.
I think she showed two sides of her. One, that she was very spontaneous on her emotions because she could get riled up, especially when it came to like her relationship with her mom. And then she had like the more sensible side. There was a point where she was trying to fit in, and that's how she created that friendship with Jenna. And then Jenna says, when she finds out that it's not really Lady Bird's house, Jenna's like, not Jenna, Lady Bird's like, "Oh, are we still friends?" And she's like, "As long as you're dating so and so." So that was like her first realization that like these people don't really care. And that's something that you deal with, I feel like, in high school, is like people who are really truly there for you, your friends, and people who are just temporary and that you're trying to fit in with, but you obviously don't fit in with them for a reason because they're not the people that you want them to be. So she was able to regain that friendship back so easily with her friend. What was her friend's name again?
Julie.
Yes. I really enjoyed when they got when she realized like that was her friend, like that's someone that she really cared for and that she didn't want to lose that type of person. Because I mean, that's something that we also deal with now when we get into our adulthood. I mean, at least for me, like I really cherish the people that like I connect with and that I'm friends with, because it's so hard to get that type of like connection with someone that it's actually real when you genuinely care about each other.
I was thinking about Pariah watching this film a little bit because that's another coming of age movie that we've talked about. And a similar thing happens where both protagonists of these two films start off with a very close friendship with another girl. Then they have, for a time in the movie, they're kind of trying something else, like either they're just hanging out with someone they think could be a significant other, or they're with the popular girl or whatever. And then at the end of the movie, they come back to the best friend. And I feel like that's a theme that we see a lot in coming of age movies, realizing that what you had or what was there the whole time is really what's best, or like what means the most.
Yeah.
That's her relationship with Sacramento as well. Like we see in the end that little monologue about the first time she drove through Sacramento, you know. But that feels very true to life as well. Like I think a lot of teenagers go through that phase of wanting to be something different. And that's part of finding who you are, but you know, your best friend will always be there for you.
But she's totally like badass too. Like, yeah, she's trying to like fit in at some points, but she also is like true to herself, and she's very out front about people calling her Lady Bird. And then that dies off. And that's what I was like, so I was questioning it at the end of the movie. I'm like, so what was her, like, what do you guys think? What was finally her realization that like she wanted to detach herself from the name Lady Bird? Was it when she finally got to college, or was it a realization that she missed home?
I think there's like a dual edge here. When I first saw it, I wasn't sure. I didn't really know why she kind of adopted the name back, her regular name, Christine. But I feel like there's two sides of it. I think on one side, the name Ladybird came out of her need to feel like she was like the one special person in a non-special place. And then when she moves to New York, she feels like she's the non-special person in a special place. So she feels very ordinary when she moved to New York. And so she's like, I should have an ordinary name. Like, I'm not special here. But then I can also see that she like, because she at the end when she's talking to her mom and dad, and she says like, it's the name you gave me, Christine. Like, it's a good name. I love the name. It's what I want that from you. I feel like there's this homesickness also, like you were saying, like she misses home so much that she wants a piece of her. She wants people to know that she's a piece of her parents, which she never wanted before. So I think there's like two parts to it. Like maybe a different part of it is at the party where I feel like it's a bit more impulsive for her to say that she feels insecure, versus when she's talking to her parents feels genuine, like she's giving it some thought.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's really, really well said. You know, as teenagers, a lot of people have an impulse to like distance ourselves from our parents, our family, where we grew up, you know, because we want to find out who we really are, like as an individual. And maybe we don't recognize that those people and those places are a part of us. And so I think the whole Ladybird thing and her trying to branch out and figure out who she is and who she wants to be is then sort of pushed aside a little bit or changed in a way where she realizes I can still be Christine and be myself, because that reflects not just like my family and where I grew up, but also who I am, if that makes sense. I feel like I just said what Jenna said in a different way.
I think that's actually a new point. Like I feel like that's a really interesting point that I hadn't thought of. She can see herself as Christine for the first time ever. Before she was like, that doesn't belong to me. Like Christine is not my name. Christine is not my personality. But I feel like at the end of the movie, she's accepted the parts of her that come from her mom. She's learned like that her mom has good aspects to her. Like so many people have told her like, this is so good about your mom. Your mom is great at this. I love this about your mom. And she already knew what she loved about her dad. now she also knows what's good about herself and what's bad about herself, so she can be like, I think she can make the choice to be Christine. She doesn't need Lady Bird as this like mask that she's been wearing.
I would love to see a Lady Bird too, like her life in New York City, and where, you know, how she's grown up, like her adult years and how she's learned. But I know that when I finally moved to New York, I was able to like fully find myself because I was away. Like I was away from my family. I was away from like the people that I was comfortable with. It's getting out of your comfort zone is what really is like your test as to like, so now what do I do? And the people that you meet too along the way, you live and you learn. You live and you learn.
Totally. I feel like she learned who she was like through the course of the movie, but that was like totally her high school self. Like she finally figured it out. And then at the end of the movie, we're left with this like dread and like terror, but excitement of like realizing that that wasn't it. Her life is not over now that she's completed all the things she thought she had to complete. Like she made it into college. She like talked to her mom. She did all this. She had her first heartbreak, stuff like this. Like she thought she learned everything there was she needed to know. And then she gets to college and she realizes like she's like terrified because she realizes like she has to do it again and again and again and again, which I feel like just perfectly encapsulates like the terror of going to school and like starting adult life. Like it's just like pure terror at realizing that you know nothing and that all the work you did before has to come again.
Yeah, I think like I guess like you think about in like a sort of a conceptual way or like a symbolic way, like, oh yeah, like, you know, when I'm 30, when I'm 40, when I'm 50, whatever, like you can imagine it sort of, but it's like weird. But like in high school, aside from those little ideas, like I really hadn't envisioned life beyond getting into college. Like I felt like that for many, many years was my like sole goal, aside from all the little ones, or like all the little ones are building up to that. And then there is this like oh shit moment where you're like, oh, I'm on my own and it's kind of up to me where I go from here. And I think that's why Ladybird slash Christine sort of seeks some comfort of home. Like she goes to the church at the end and like she is embracing the name her parents gave her. Like there's comfort in who you used to be or what your life used to be like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still like going and visit my hometown and get those types of like rekindled memories. I mean, some are better than others. I can tell you that, especially when when I drive past my old high school. I'm like, so glad I'm out of there. But honestly, I really admired us kind of seeing her grow up like that. So I know both of you guys went to LMU, and just like Lady Bird, she seeked out to go to the East Coast to really find herself, I guess, as a writer. So did you guys, you know, when you guys were looking at colleges yourselves, did you guys seek out LMU as that type of next step, that dream school that you guys feel like you would be able to find yourselves in?
When I first saw Lady Bird, I feel like I was living a bit vicariously through her because I mean, I went to school an hour away from my hometown. So I'm from Orange County, and so like LA is very like normal to me. It's very like very comfortable to me. It's where my family is from. So I feel like my going to LMU was like I felt like it was the natural next step. I felt like it was a good place for me, but I definitely didn't have the Ladybird experience where I was like desperate for like a certain culture or desperate for a certain like sophistication and stuff like that. I feel like my friends who went to New York and they have found that, like I feel like that is what they were after. I feel like Ladybird like would not have made the move that I made to like go to a school so close to home or something so comfortable. I feel like she probably would hate LA. I don't know, but I feel like she was after something that she couldn't get in her like her area code.
Didn't want to be in the Midwest of California.
No.
That's one of my favorite lines because it's kind of true. But no hate to Sacramento and no hate to the Midwest. But yeah, I grew up in the Bay Area and I didn't want to go too far from home. Like I didn't want to go to the East Coast. One, because it's so far away, and two, because it's cold. But I looked at colleges. I didn't think I was going to get into film school or even really go to film school. I thought I would maybe go to a liberal arts school and be like a communications major, like a media studies major. And so I just applied to LMU on a whim as a screenwriting major because it didn't require a portfolio, and I wrote a little essay and like just kind of didn't think it was going to happen. And then when I got in, it was almost like it hit me that this is what I actually really want to do, and like it is a possibility, and I kind of hadn't let myself imagine that it was. And so yeah, like I guess in some ways I didn't really want to go to LA, and I don't really love LA. Like I know I'm probably going to have to live in LA for a lot of my life, but I do really love LMU and loved my time there. So in some ways yes, in some ways no, I guess, to the Lady Bird question.
I know I can say that I seeked adventure, and I think that's what brought me to New York. But originally, I was going to go either to San Francisco or LA. I was looking at schools in California. That's always been a dream of mine to go live there. I never thought that I was going to be in New York. I think I kind of manifested it because I would always go to the city because it's only like 2 hours and 30 minutes from my hometown. So it's kind of like, it's not too bad. It's not too far. It's not like I'm states away. I think like, yeah, like I really found myself, and I was really able to explore what I like to do. And I didn't think I was going to get into film either. I initially went to school for acting. So I didn't think that it was a possibility to get a job in film or what you could get a job as, until I started going to film school. So I dropped out of my acting school, and then I got into film. And then I fell in love with it. And then I've just been doing more and more since. And I've been meeting more people in the community, which has been awesome. And I'm definitely at a place now where I didn't see myself before.
Maybe to close, we can say if we have a favorite quote.
Totally.
Oh, yes, I do. But you guys can go first because I have to search it up. But I know which one it is.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite scenes. It's very like it's not a very like crazy scene. Like nothing really happens. She's just talking to the nun who is the guidance counselor. And then she's talking about Lady Bird's essay. And she says, "You clearly love Sacramento." And Lady Bird is like very confused. She's like, "I clearly hate Sacramento. Like, how dare you say that?" And the nun points out how well and how beautifully she writes about Sacramento. And she says, "I guess I just pay attention." And then the nun says, "Don't you think maybe they are the same thing, love and attention?" Which I think is just like the perfect, that could be the tagline for the movie. I feel like this is just what this whole movie is about. I feel like it's a perfect encapsulation of what her relationship with her mother is, which is like clearly the crux of the whole movie is her and her mother. And her mother pays so much attention to her. Like, and Lady Bird does not like the attention. She feels like her mom is on her back all the time. But I feel like this is the start of her realizing that, like, when people pay attention to you, it can be a demonstration of that they love you. And also her realizing that she loves Sacramento. She loves her friend Julie. She loves her mom. She loves her family because she pays attention to them, which I think is really beautiful. And I feel like I think about this all the time, the love and attention part. And then really quickly, I do want to mention one from near the end of the movie, said by Julie, who doesn't get nearly enough appreciation. I love Julie. Julie's crying before prom. She's not going to go. And Lady Bird asks her, like, "What's wrong?" And Julie says, "Some people aren't born happy." And I was just like, I mean, I hate for that to relate to me, but like, I mean, it's just so honest. I feel like I've never heard someone describe like that specific teenage like angst and feelings of depression and feelings of just like sadness that like just kind of come over you. And I feel like that's a perfect description of Julie, because Julie does seem happy, but she does get kicked around in the movie by a lot of different people. And she's just like, "I don't know what to tell you. Some people aren't born happy like you think they are. Like some people just have a harder time." And I think that's a really good point. Thank you, Julie. I feel very understood, Julie.
So sad. Oh my god.
It's so sad.
But it's real.
But then the scene totally turns around, you know, because like her best friend is back and like they don't have to say anything. It's back. They're good. They realize what they mean to each other, which is so true of real life best friends.
I love the little like shot of them dancing at the prom, and the nuns just looking at them like, what's going on?
So good. They take their prom picture together. Yeah, the nuns are like, but they're not a girl and a guy. Should we be breaking this up?
But I don't think they're dating.
They're clearly the one, they're dancing the closest of anyone in that room. Like, it's just hilarious.
My favorite quote, well, it's like an exchange, I guess. They're in that dress shop, and Lady Bird is trying on dresses for prom, and her mom is outside the dressing room. And Lady Bird says, I wish that you liked me. And her mom goes, of course I love you. Lady Bird asks, but do you like me? And then her mom says, I want you to be the very best version of yourself that you can be. And Lady Bird asks, what if this is the best version? And it's just such a good, like, example of, like, screenwriting where the characters are kind of talking past each other or trying to avoid the real question, especially her mom. And it also gets to the heart of, like, a lot of, I think, parent-child, especially mother-daughter relationships where, like, there's a lot of love and care, but, like, there can be a lot of tension and there can be a lot of, like, expectations from both sides. And so it's just, I think that really sums up their relationship in a really sweet and funny way.
A lot of tough love her mom gave her. Her mom really just like let her have it. I think a lot of stuff that she said to her was rough. The not succeeding, that she didn't think that she would get a good enough job, and all that stuff. And you know, those type of things that parents say, like, I understand it's a lot of love. Like, you obviously have a lot of love for your child and you give them the attention that they need. But I think that, like, tough love kind of can be traumatic in a way where that stuff doesn't, like, leave your mind. She could have been constantly thinking, like, why am I not good enough? Or, you know, why does my mom think I'm failing? Like, maybe I am failing somewhere. And maybe that's why she needed to go too, because she wanted to succeed on her own. And there's a point in the movie where her mom's complaining about how much money she spent on her, you know, throughout the years. And she's like, how much? She, like, pulls out her notebook, like, how much? Like, tell me so I know, like, how much to pay you back. And I think that was really deep as well. That hit home. But besides that whole mother-daughter relationship, a quote that I really liked that makes me laugh every time is when Lady Bird notices that Julie isn't in her math class anymore. Julie says, Miss Patty assigned you a role, by the way. You just never showed up to claim it. And Lady Bird's like, what role? And Julie's like, the Tempest. And Christine, well, Lady Bird, is like, there's no role of the Tempest. And Julie's like, it's the titular role.
Yes.
So funny.
So, like, getting to the chase, Lady Bird's like, yeah, well, you know, your mom tits, they're fake. They're totally fake. And then Julie's like, she made one bad decision at 19. And then Lady Bird says, 2 bad decisions because it's, like, 2 tits.
That's one of my favorite best friend fights I've ever seen.
I just love, like, I feel like Lady Bird's, like, your mom's tits, like, are fake. Like, that is so out of pocket. Like, no reason for her to be saying that.
She's cutting deep.
I feel like that scene and the scene where she's like, give me a number, both demonstrate Lady Bird's, like, 17-year-old immaturity in such a perfect way. She's, like, clearly almost grown up, but she's still so immature. The, like, declaration that she's gonna get a big job and make a lot of money and, like, pay her back it just feels so 17-year-old immature, doesn't know what she's talking about kind of stuff. And I just think that's great writing.
Yeah, there's so much great writing in this movie. And yeah, I just think it's told really efficiently too. Like, I don't think there's a lot of wasted space or wasted scenes. And like every scene just gives you the information and like the emotion that it is conveying to you, and then it's done. Like where Lady Bird and Julie walk in on Danny making out with another boy in the bathroom, and then they freak out. We see their reaction, and then it just cuts to them laying down in, I think it's Julie's car, and crying while they're listening to this song. And so like you don't have like a conversation in between of them being like, oh my god, what was that, he's gay, blah, blah. Like because we don't need that, you know. We get what they're feeling and what their reaction is. And we get their relationship too, just more of the best friend, like almost you don't need to say anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like all of the relationships are so well developed that like we don't need any extra information. Like the characters are in the writing so perfectly, and then the actors, their decisions heighten it to such a crazy level. Especially that scene. I feel like the cut from like, oh my God, to crying is just hilarious. It's so perfect. I feel like Kyle is so well written. He's just
Oh my God.
sucks so bad, but in an attractive way. Like
It's so perfect. And casting Timothy Chalamet in that role is just like the best decision you could possibly make.
Holy shit, dude.
I forgot he was in this movie.
so crazy. He just looks like he sucks, but he's so hot and like pretentious.
Yeah, we get that he sucks, but also we get why she's into him.
Totally.
And then there's like, I was thinking about this after I watched, like, there is a little bit of depth to him, I think, that maybe we don't get to see, but like, he does talk about how his dad has cancer and like, he kind of jokes about it. But I think he might, and I don't know if like this is just me reading into it too much, but like, he might be using his like pretension or talking about the Iraq war or whatever as like kind of a coping mechanism or like a defense mechanism because he doesn't want to dig too deep. I do think like if you were cast to play that character, there could be a lot of depth that you could like interpret, you know?
Totally.
So even Kyle, who seems like just this obnoxious, pretentious guy, he also has depth, which I love. And like of course Greta Gerwig would do that.
Of course. Yeah, I do love the care she puts into all of her secondary characters. Her dad, Shelly, is her brother's name Michael?
Miguel.
Miguel, yes. Like all of them, there's so much subtext and everything that they say that we can just imagine what they're doing when Lady Bird's off doing her A plot, you know, like do fucking everything up. Like we can just imagine what they're trying to do.
I want the Shelly movie.
Me too. I love Shelly. I feel like she makes such a great, important point at the moment where she's like, your mom has a big heart. Like, that's a turning point right there. And that's all she says. She's like, hands her a clove and she says, lick your lips, they're sweet. And then she's like, your mom has a big heart.
Yeah.
That's all she needs to say. And it totally turns the movie around.
Thank you so much for listening. This has been Film Spill, a movie night podcast. Thank you, Jenna, for being a fantastic guest.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a really good time. Love this movie.
Do you want to plug in any social media projects that you're currently working on?
Sure. You guys can see what I'm working on at my website. It's just jennabrewer.com. Very simple. I've got some new projects that are coming out in the next few months, so I'll be posting about those.
Exciting. Stay tuned, everyone. And you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. All are at Film Spill Pod. Tell a friend about the podcast if you liked it and leave a review for us on Apple Podcasts. That'll help other people find Film Spill too. You can support the podcast at Film Spill Pod on PayPal. You know, if you want to throw us a couple bucks, leave us a tip, wouldn't complain. Special thanks to Onyx Films for promoting us. You can check out Onyx's other projects at onyx-films.com. The editing and cover art are done by me, Jackie.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, don't cry over spilled film.